Show me the money, honey.
Because I like to squirrel it away. I ain't showing you my money, honey.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.
It's kind of neat that we get to come alongside you and do Life's Inside Track episodes. I'm Yetta Dekker.
And I'm Ken Dekker.
And the cool thing is we get to share techniques, thoughts, tips, and tools and techniques that we all need. We all deserve, you, I, everyone, so we can turn our house into home, our families thrive, and we live the best life possible. So we're going to consider this time, even if you think you can't afford a house or another house, maybe you can.
Yeah.
So the first step in figuring out if you can afford a house, even though you think you might not be able to, is where's your down payment coming from? Like, that's always the first question people ask us. Where can I get the down payment from?
Make it magically appear.
That's a thought, but where could they make it magically appear from?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
I know,
several
right?
ways we're going to talk about. The first one is the old-fashioned way.
Which is saving it, right?
Squirrel it
away, right? Just like Yetta does. Squirrel it away. And I lose track sometimes of how much it's growing.
That's what squirrels do too. They put away way more food than they need because they forget where they put it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't forget where you put your money for your down payment. And one of the things that typically a lender wants to see, and we're going to talk all about lending over the next little while. And what they want to see is proof of down payment. That doesn't mean magically, poof, it appears in your savings account. There's $50,000 there, or 40 or 30 or whatever your down payment is.
Yeah.
They want to see it. They want either proof of where it came from, or they want to see it slowly accumulate over time. So if you suddenly moved it to your checking account from your savings account and it just magically appeared there, they're going to want to see your savings account and see, like, for the last 2 years or something, you've been putting $500 a month in or something towards your down payment. That's proof of down payment.
Right. They want to see the journey that it basically got there. So when I throw all my extra cash, squirrel it away by putting it in our piggy bank.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say piggy bank, most people go, well, how much can you put in a piggy bank? Well, in this piggy bank, if I was putting loonies and toonies in, which I used to do,
it's ginormous.
it could probably hold, I'm thinking $10,000.
You think Wilbur could hold $10,000?
I think he could. I mean, he's not as big as I am, but he's bigger than an average little kid.
Okay, so we'll take a social media post on it, and we'll ask you, how much do you think Wilbur could hold?
For a down payment.
Yeah.
So the struggle with that, though, if I did it that way, and let's say it holds 10,000, I'm suspecting he holds at least that if it was loonies and toonies, because we once pulled out about $1,000 out of it in loonies and toonies, and he was kind of empty still. He wasn't, remember, he wasn't very heavy.
Yeah.
And so, well, heavy, but not heavy compared to what he would be if he was full. He, I'm not sure. We call him Wilbur.
Yeah, Wilbur.
I know. Anyway, so if I saved it that way, then I couldn't really prove. Could I just take a picture of my Wilbur? Say my down payment's in there?
I don't think the bank will accept that, or the lender. Yeah.
Okay. So thinking about just having a track record, or like a path of how the money got into your bank account.
And the reason for that is another way you could get your down payment is borrow it. You could borrow it from family. You could borrow it from a lending institution. But the problem is, if you borrow it, the repayment of it is calculated in when you qualify for your mortgage. So that's why they want to know whether you borrowed it or not.
Yeah, so it's not that you can't. It just can't be secured against the house, that last 5%.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it's difficult in Canada to get 100% financing.
Yep.
And so there is ways to do it, but it's not attached to the equity or the value of the house. It's another source. So it's not that you can't borrow it. It's just that it has to be calculated into your ratios. And right?
And maybe you're saying, hey, maybe you've got a large whole life or universal life policy, right? They have a cash value, and you can actually borrow on those.
We've done that.
You borrow the money on that. It reduces any future gains, but you don't pay interest on it. And to the bank, they figure, or the lender, you're just borrowing your own money. So that doesn't go into the calculation. So that's another place you could find some money.
It's an amazing place. And that's why we're mentioning all the places we can think of. And so if we don't think of something and you have an idea that we don't give you today, you know what to do, right? Email us at together@dekkerteam.com. And if you want the inside scoop on whether you can locate money and you want to have a quick 15-minute clarity call to see if we can brainstorm ideas of where you might find the money, we're really open to that. Because it starts there. So the other way.
Okay. Well, first of all, maybe recognize that they only need 5%.
Right.
So if they're buying a $400,000 house, that's $20,000 plus maybe $5,000 for closing costs. If you're buying a $600,000 house, that's about $30,000 plus $5,000 to $10,000 in closing costs. So you need about $40,000, right? So it's important that people know what they need. Now, what's your favorite way? You just said one of your favorite ways.
Is get a family member to gift you the money.
Oh, you think that's a favorite way?
I think it's kind of fun. It's less painful. It doesn't put a lot of effort for me.
Yeah, more and more families are actually giving their children a hand up by, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to give it to them anyways at some point. I have enough. Or they're borrowing money on their own house to give to their kids so they can get their start in the market.
Right.
And they give a gift letter. Now, there must be a gift letter that states that it doesn't have to be repaid.
Right.
Then it doesn't affect the mortgage.
It doesn't affect what you qualify for, is what Ken's saying when he says it doesn't affect the mortgage. It affects the mortgage positively, that you have the down payment. And that it's not actually borrowed. It just doesn't negatively impact as long as you have that gift letter.
Yeah. Another place where a lot of people have money they don't really realize is maybe they've been putting money away into an RRSP. You can actually remove up to $35,000 per person. So if you're a couple and you each have, $50,000 or $60,000 in your RSPs, you could remove $35,000 each. That's $70,000 towards a house.
That may even give you 10% down depending on the value of the house.
Right. And you have 15 years to pay it back. Not like on the 15th year, you got to pay it back. You pay back 1/15 per year into the RSP. And if you don't, what happens is they just tax you on that 1/15.
Exactly. And then another one of my favorites, which is probably my true favorite. I do, but this is like it.
I thought I was your favorite.
Well, no, when it comes to equity. So equity in my house is the other way I can get my down payment. If I have a home that I've had for any length of time, say 5 years or so, chances if I haven't been using my house, which we ask you not to, because we did it in the early days and we know how bad it is using your house as an ATM machine, basically using it to keep pre-financing it or refinancing it every time you spend money somewhere else. So don't do that. But if you didn't do that and you've been in the house 5 years, chances are, or more, then you have enough equity to take it and use it as a down payment. Now, some people have fear around that. Call us so we can talk through that, because there's no reason for fear around that one.
So you might be asking, and you should be asking, what is the best place or places for you to come up with your next down payment? We're grateful to be your partners moving forward on this journey of wealth, wisdom, and worth.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward.